Hello, everyone, and welcome. First session back after Thanksgiving weekend. I hope everyone had a great time and got some time off to relax. It was a really fun long weekend for me. I was actually traveling in Santa Rosa for our open house that we did there in Shelter Glen, and I was able to get back in home in time and celebrate with my wife, who's American. I'm up in Canada, so is Unique. Unique's in our second office in Penticton, British Columbia. So we're spread out all over. How are you doing, Unique?
Oh, I'm doing great. Yeah, I had a pretty good Thanksgiving as well. Like my girlfriend also is American, so we definitely celebrated as well. Had a big old turkey. It was great.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, we decided not to do like a full turkey this year. We did like stuffed thighs, turkey thighs, and we did like a rolled turkey breast with like herbs and stuff. It was kind of great.
Yeah, that's almost even better than just like preparing a whole turkey.
I think so too. Yeah, because I mean, you get the bones after for soup and stuff, but like I
Hmm.
don't want to deal with a whole turkey sometimes.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Like takes up like your entire freezer.
I know, your entire freezer and then all the leftovers after. It's crazy.
Exactly. You'll be eating turkey for months.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So just give it a few more minutes. We're gonna let
Okay.
some more people roll in. Everyone was just notified that we're starting the recording. So hello, if you're just joining, I'm Kellen, the Director of Growth at Dvele, and I'm responsible for all things marketing and growth. So, helping to do more of these types of events where we can meet you kind of face to face online, and doing offline events like we just did with our Shelter Glen open house. And today we're here with Unique, and he runs the design for manufacturing team, and he's got some really cool stuff to talk about today. If you ever really wanted to nerd out about our products and like what goes into them and like how we've thought about building modular versus like flat panels or maybe like the traditional way, this is going to be a really great way for you to see how we're thinking about modular homes, how we're thinking about manufacturing, and yeah, it's going to be really good. I think we're going to dive in a moment, but I'm excited.
Awesome.
So, Unique, do you grow a beard for the winter or what?
I did for November, and then this morning I was like, no, I'm done.
Oh, okay.
This is so not used to it.
Yeah, I know.
And
Well,
I feel
you,
like that like it grows pretty patchy too, so that's another issue.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I also feel like where you are, it doesn't get as cold as maybe it gets over here in Ottawa. So, like, this is my scarf, my
Yeah,
Penticton scarf.
that's awesome. I mean, like I already feel like it's cold here, and like supposedly the hottest place in Canada. It's
Really, eh?
yeah,
Wow. There you go. Wow.
similar to just all the snow here too. It's like even yeah, last night too, like a ton dropped here again, and it's just still not used to it. Like shoveling
Yeah.
snow first.
Yeah, I mean, I love the snow when you're at the mountain and you're skiing or
Yeah,
snowboarding.
exactly.
Like otherwise, I don't really want to be in the snow. It's not that
Yeah.
fun to deal with. We had neighbors that moved in down the street and they're from Australia, and they were looking forward to shoveling their driveway and dealing with the snow. I'm like,
What?
wow,
Yeah. I
that'll
mean,
last that'll last one winter.
I was just gonna say the same, and then you'll be, begging for a heated driveway.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. Maybe that's what we'll be doing next. We'll be making heated driveways.
we should. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Oh man, that'd be so nice.
I know. In Canada, they have like a compound that's like it has beet juice in it, and they spray it on the roads before it snows or before the ice gets to like frozen state, and it's supposed to prevent like a lot of snow and ice buildup. I thought that was crazy.
That
Beets.
is, yeah, that's so strange. Does
I
does it
know.
work? Yeah.
Apparently it does. They keep using it. I think it's in like the prairies or like Saskatchewan or
Oh, that's
maybe
so
even
cool.
Alberta. But it's kind of horrific. It looks like there's blood all over the streets.
It's just like a murder scene.
I know. Bad scene. It's a bad scene. Okay, we digress. We're getting off topic. So welcome everyone. So a few more people just joined. Welcome, welcome. I'm Kellen, Director of Growth, and this is Unique Halsberg. He is our Director of Design and Manufacturing, and he and his team are the big brain behind what you see in front of you on the screen. It's like, how do we build modular homes, and like, how do we build it in a factory, and what makes it efficient? So he's going to go dive into that. We're not going to go too deep. If there are some questions that you have about specific areas in the presentation, we'll try to answer them as we go, but we're also going to try to hold questions until the end. So if you really, geek out on this type of stuff, I know I do, I know Unique does, that's why he does what he does. We're going to get into a lot here, and don't worry, we're recording it, so you'll be able to go back and see this again. And yeah, I guess we're just going to start and get into it. So welcome everybody. Unique is our director of design for manufacturing and assembly. And so manufacturing and assembly are two big pieces. Manufacturing is kind of that side you see on the left there, like in our manufacturing floor. And then assemblies are the components of the home, whether it's walls, floors, and ceilings, and then how that all comes together to form a finished home, which you'll eventually see. So Unique has a background in mechanical engineering, so really well-skilled guy, knows his stuff inside and out. And what's also really cool is, if you know the London Eye, the big Ferris wheel in London, England, he used to actually work for the team that built some of the parts for it, or even like the metal structure for it. So that's really cool. And he also worked for a company before that made sensitive parts. And what this means is he made machines for microchips, the machines that actually produce the microchips. So when it comes to manufacturing and knowing the details behind products and machines and how everything works together, we're talking to the right guy. So without further ado, I'm just going to let you take it away, Unique, and I'll jump in when I need to.
Awesome, sounds good. And thank you for the generous introduction. So one of the first things that I thought we could get into is and it's basically one of the things that we work on daily, is trying to remove any complexity from like the design stage to like the manufacturing stage. And I guess what we all do and what we look into and who we work with to remove as much complexity from the building as we possibly can. I'd say like one of the big things that we're currently working on is, it's actually quite exciting. Like we've partnered up with Toyota, and instead of just like trying to fix up a certain stage in the process, we're looking at this like company wide. So we have like several teams involved in this. Like this goes from project management to like supply chain and logistics, and a bunch of designers too. Like from our design side, for example, we have like our head of
I just jumped in. John was just saying the switch browsers, now it's fixed. Okay, I'm going to stop presenting. Sorry about that, John. Sorry for jumping in here. I'm just going to stop presenting for a second. So it should be back on you. Just one sec. Sorry about this, everybody. Okay, go ahead, Unique.
Yeah, all good. Awesome. So as I was saying, like we're trying to involve the entire company to this, and then specifically when it comes to like at my team, like we have multiple designers involved, like with our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing lead designer involved, similar to like our head of like LGS design. So like all the nice little steel modules that you can see on the bottom left screen, that's mainly his doing. And what we're trying to do right now is not only in our production process, trying to improve every single step, but also like in our own design process. The only downside is we don't have like pretty pictures on how we improve our design process. The actual I guess fruits of our labor will be seen in the factory. So like some of the things that we've really started to do quite recently is that we're changing up our factory to a way where we have like dedicated workstations where a certain amount of work happens, and what it allows us to do is just time that process, see how long it takes from for the module to move from one work cell to the other, and then see, okay, like why is it taking this long? Is there any like waste that's happening? Are people walking around, running around trying to find materials? We're trying to eliminate waste that way. And like the factory team has done like an amazing job there. Like all the signs that are put up there, that's all their work, similar to like the screens on the right hand side. So even the people on the factory floor who put these things together right now have a great insight on like everything they do, like how many projects are in production, how many modules are on the floor, the amount of hours that they spend on like in a certain workstation. And that's definitely, that's like all the work of just the people in the factory floor that have all put that together in the last couple of months, which is awesome. And we're just continuing to do this from now on out. Like, I don't think this is something that will like ever stop. We'll just keep on looking at all of this data and ask ourselves like, okay, why are things taking longer? Is, I guess, are there ways where we can increase our efficiency? And like one of those ways, like I mentioned to you, was like changing up our complete production floor to having more of like a workflow, like how you would see in a car factory, for example. Like instead of all sorts of work happening all at the same time, we have it all happening in certain workstations, all the way down to the final one, which is, as you can see in like your left hand side, is testing and completion. So even before a home leaves the factory, what we'll try and do is test all of your appliances, all of your systems, your mechanical systems, make sure you have heating. That way we don't have to do that on site, and it just assures that we have like a higher quality product at the end of the day that you'll end up living in. On the right hand side is like another good example of like a factory workflow. This was like a concept that we've done on how it works. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to eliminate processes that take an awful long time. We'll take that off our assembly line. We'll do that on the side, and we'll try to create those things ahead of time and then insert them back into our main assembly line, so that main assembly line can keep on running along at a good pace. So it's really like, when we're looking at all of this, we're not really building, or at least we're not thinking that we're immediately building a home. We're trying to build a machine that we see as our home. And we're doing this like with both robotics and humans, like all at the same time. We're not looking to, like, for example, just replace everybody straight up. But we're, as you can see, like on the left picture there, we're really trying to work in sync with robotics and tools and helping each other out. Like there's tons of examples in our current factory too, where we've changed things up just so it's more comfortable for people to do their physical work. Like you can see in that left-hand picture, that was a pretty good example that I could find. It's like where the car gets lifted so people don't have to crawl underneath it. And those types of things are, we're trying to implement all of those in our current factory in Loma Linda, California.
That's so cool. Thank you for that. So before you talk about this example with the wood framing and light gauge steel switch that we made, to give people an idea, Unique, what we've been doing with efficiencies in the factory floor, like how many hours was it taking to build like a module before and where we're at now? Is there anything like that?
So I don't think we had good. That was one of the reasons why we initially approached CEO is like, hey, can you help us out? Because we hadn't the greatest grip on like why certain things took longer than others. And right now we're trying to establish like good baseline data so we can start to compare and improve our processes. And then I guess implement the fix, review it for a couple of times, and then see if it actually worked out and if it saved us some time. Like some real simple ones were just like some preventative maintenance measures throughout the factory, which has resulted in like a significant amount of like less downtime, which is great.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know where I saw this, but I think we're going from like, don't quote me on this, but we're going from like thousands of man hours, people hours to like hundreds of hours. We're trying to like
Yes.
significantly reduce the amount of time that it takes to build these modules.
Yeah, and I think as long as we just keep this attitude, which I think there is throughout the entire company right now, which is great. Like everybody just wants to improve all the time, and what I love too is that like everybody can just bring up new ideas, and they're being taken seriously. Like when I first started here too, I started out as a draftsman, and I never felt like, oh, just because you're just a draftsman, for example, and you have a good idea that nobody will listen to, like we'll take anything, we'll give it a try, and if it works out, that's great. Then we'll just keep doing it.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Awesome. And then I guess another fairly recent change is that we switched from wood framing to light gauge steel. And I mean, I think we've been in luck too with like the employees that we've had so far because we really like our current like light gauge steel designer and our structural engineering team. I mean, they work so great together, and they've made like tons of things possible out of steel where like our previous structural engineers basically I said like, oh, you can't build stuff like that. And right now we're still building uh, better products every single day. And like it's there's just a ton of advantages of steel as well. Like we use recycled steel, which is great. Um, all of this steel comes on coils, and we have roll formers in our factory where we produce our own studs. So basically, those wall panels that you can see on the floor there, every little steel piece gets printed basically, and then we just all put it together. It's like a giant puzzle that you stick together, and all the service holes for mechanical, electrical wiring are all pre-punched as well, which is great. It just saves a ton of time. Nobody has to like pick up a drill to drill through it and like create new openings for like wiring, for example. That's all been taken care of well in advance.
Yeah, it's so cool. I think Tim, our VP of manufacturing, or you'd probably even know too, like we can like print all the floors, walls, and ceilings in a day, and then like the next day, off to the right in this picture is like a fully assembled module. So it's like it's now gone from like potentially like a week to like 2 days that we can like build the frame of the home and put it together and get it ready for everything else.
Yeah, and like the more the guys on the factory floor do it themselves, the quicker they get at it as well. And like I know there's somebody too who just he's great as well. He has like the best attitude. Like if he runs into an issue where something takes a long time, he'll make his own tools, and he'll just find a way to make his life easier on his own. And I think they're just constantly improving like on the factory floor too, which is great.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Awesome. Then I guess our next part is like our building assemblies. And in this first image here, you can clearly see like all of our different layers. So we have quite a complex, I guess, wall assembly, floor assembly, roof assembly, and even like a crawl space. There's lots of layers, um, which in a way is great because it ensures we have a super efficient home. But for manufacturing, it's not always perfect because adding layer over layer over layer like eats up a lot of time. So we're trying to, I guess it's another sort of like process improvement where we're trying to see how long certain items take to assemble, and then trying to find, is there a better way that doesn't like degrade our building performance? Or like in the wall assembly on the right hand side, that you see like two green layers in there. That's like exterior insulation, and we found like new suppliers that supply that same thickness of the two layers instead of like adding the two separate ones, which basically will eliminate tons and tons of additional like manufacturing hours. Another big part of it is basically pre-plan all of our homes. So we have a great interior design team, and I'd say they're much more than just an interior design team because they also they're like almost like architects, I'd say, because they come up with all of our standard designs. They will, I guess, be delivered to our team. We'll have a look at them, make sure that we're doing nothing that is impossible or like that defies gravity. And after that, we put them all in like our catalog of homes, as you can see on this image as well. And that's basically the starting point of every design. Like once we've internally okayed everything, it's like, okay, we can build this, no problems. We'll make it available for everybody else to see. And obviously there's certain options that you can still apply to it to make it like your own home, because that's also pretty important to us, to make sure you don't want the same home as your neighbor. You want like your own home. And I think we have a pretty good understanding of that too, and we have plenty of options to make it your own home. So once this is all selected, like the rest of the team dives in and we'll start like detailing plans, and we'll go down to like the smallest little detail. And this is where I think our like the structural team and the MEP team, the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing team it's basically like their time to shine. Because what they do is like they'll model in every single stud, every single piece, like we just saw in that factory image, and we all do that in advance to prevent anything from happening that would slow down the production process. So on your left hand side, you can see like it's a wonderful, like almost like mess up colors, but everything is color coded, so we know exactly like what this like purple or magenta like pipe does, and it goes the same for like every duct that runs in either our floor, our walls, our ceilings. And on the right hand side is like a very good example of how we would show it to like people on the factory floor, so they immediately know to okay, we'll have pipes running in this direction. And because we all pre-planned this in advance, that's how our machines will know where to cut all of the holes. And then it goes out onto the factory floor, and hopefully, no downtime. That would be the perfect situation there. Something else that we're really looking into as well is like trying to reuse the same parts over and over. And the example here that I have is like our mechanical room. So it's basically like the heart of the home with like our ventilation systems, our heating and cooling systems, solar batteries. Like I know in California, unfortunately, your battery has to sit outside your home, but if we can, we'll put it in if code allows us, just so it's all in one space and all of your systems are there. But like we're trying to reduce the amount of parts that we need, and that's again out of an efficiency standpoint, we get much better lead times if we just reuse the same parts over and over again. We can buy in bulk, we'll get better pricing. There's just tons of advantages. We can really like streamline the process here. And as you can see, like we'll have like 3 layouts of the same like mechanical room here, for example, and we're just reusing the same components over and over. So that's basically what we're trying to do at Dvele right now. We're trying to catalog every single part. All those parts will be cataloged in like sub-assemblies, and then those sub-assemblies will be handed over to like our designers who develop any more like new homes that you can see in the images right here. The nice part, I guess what I mentioned earlier, is that we pretty much have like a continuous feedback loop throughout the company. So even if, like for example, a plumber would find something that he doesn't quite like, or that he doesn't quite like to install in a certain way, he can just let us know. And the next design that rolls down the factory floor, we'll have that updated to the exact way how he'd like to see it. And it might save us a couple of seconds, but if we do that an awful lot of times, it will eventually add up to like a ton of hours that we can potentially save. And if we can get a home to a client faster, I would assume we have a happy client as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the innovation part and like producing more of the homes more quickly is a big piece of this because like a lot of you may know this, and some people might not, but like scaling the operation of building homes is really hard. So when we can standardize the pieces of the module, the mechanical room, reuse parts, and take the input from unique example of like a plumber and moving a space or a hole somewhere else, the more we do that, like the better this all gets, the faster it all gets, and we just get to improve and innovate faster and faster.
Awesome. And yeah, like how I just mentioned that we are trying to get like catalog parts and like trying to put that into like sub-assemblies. The sub-assemblies could be kitchens. The sub-assemblies could be like complete rooms, or it could be vanities, but also complete modules. In this image is a pretty good example of like a couple of standard kitchens that we offer. And like even as we speak right now, just in the other room here, we have some people that are adding more and more detail to these pre-set up kitchens. And it basically, that's another thing that will just allow our design time to shorten. And a designer will just be able to pick one of these completed kitchens and place it in a home, and all of the plumbing components or electrical components that are associated with that kitchen that are needed for in order to build this will already be there. So it really cuts back on like the actual design time we have to do. And again, it's just to get the home to the customer sooner. So here's the other example of like some of our vanities, for example. And when we I guess when I mention like sub-assemblies, like I really just mean like the different configurations. Like I mentioned earlier, there's still options, like all the finishes on that you'd like to see on like your vanity, for example. Like we can change that up like per home. That's not that tricky to do. That will luckily not take too long, and it will still feel like your own home. And this is another good example of like how we're using those sub-assemblies. We've imported those now in like some of our standard modules, and then we use those standardized modules across different home plans. So you can see 3 home plans at the bottom here, and they all, I would say like every single home has a very different feel to it. And there's still a bit of customization possible even in these standard modules. Like if you need a bedroom that needs to be slightly longer, we might be able to accommodate that. Or if like, obviously, if a window for your bathroom is like staring directly into your neighbor's yard, we'll make sure that, you know, glass gets frosted, or we'll like move the window over to make sure it works perfect for your lot. And another thing to notice too, like any of these standard modules, we'll be able to flip them to mirror them, to rotate them, just to fit the standard design as best as we can. So what can be customized? We actually have like a complete lookbook that our interior designers have put together with tons of exterior finishes, millwork options, different windows and door colors. We offer various brands of like appliances as well. So at the end of the day, like you might initially pick a standard plan. By the end of the design process, you'll still have your own unique home, which is really, you know, what we're striving for as well, because it needs to feel whole as your own home at the end of the day, not like you and your neighbor's home have the exact same thing with the exact same exterior finish. I don't think anybody would really want that. And then there's a couple more items that we can obviously add, but just because of like logistical reasons, we cannot really pre-build it in the factory, or we can partially pre-build it, but it's just the shipping that's, I guess, a bit of a hurdle, because there's only, there's a couple of like max dimensions that you can allow on the road, of course, but we can still like pre-make a whole bunch of things. Like for example, the garage here in the middle is a great example. We can all panelize that and put it on a flatbed. And as your modules are being delivered to the site, your garage is like 95% there as well, which will save you a ton of money at the end of the day, because building anything on site is incredibly expensive. Porches and patios, again, these are things that, especially the overhangs that we can see on the home on the left-hand side, we can all build that in our factory, put it on a flatbed and ship it to site just to reduce any amount of site work. And then obviously the landscaping is not something we do yet, but you know, maybe in the future we'll have the Dvele landscaping division. Who knows? And I think that was all I had, Kellen.
Maybe that was it. Yeah, that's okay. That's perfect. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. So, to like summarize it all, you know, you're working on simplifying the whole entire manufacturing process, making sure we can build homes quickly, efficiently, and accurately, so that you're getting basically the same type of product every time. And this is important because like we want that when we're looking at a car, maybe when we're buying a phone or other high quality, high value items. You're looking for consistency, but you're also looking for like high quality piece. um, that's really cool. Thank you for your time and explaining that to us. One thing that came up about switching from the wood to the metal manufacturing was like how it performs at 0 degrees temperature, which I think would be like -Celsius maybe, or maybe 0 Celsius as well. But do you have any insight into like how our metal performs in colder weather?
Yeah, so like obviously metal is like there's a bigger thermal bridge there, and when we switched from wood to steel, like we changed up our entire wall assembly. We used to have like wall cavity insulation and then a layer of like exterior insulation. But what we've done after we've switched to just metal stud framing is we've increased that thickness. of that exterior insulation. So we won't run into like any issues like in any weather conditions at all.
Yeah, exactly. And to go a bit further here for you, John, too, around our entire home, we apply a liquid membrane called Prosecco. It kind of sounds like Prosecco, the sparkling wine. And it's just basically this liquid membrane. It's kind of rubbery when it's dry. And we put it around the entire house, floor, ceilings, walls. It's in the window sills. And it basically creates an airtight, watertight barrier around the entire home, and then the insulation goes on the outside, and then like a vapor barrier, strapping, and then the exterior material that you see in these pictures here, whether it's a wood or metal siding. So there's a huge amount of exterior material and insulation before temperatures and moisture ever get close to the metal, which it doesn't, because we've created all those layers. So like structurally, it performs fine in the cold, and thermally, it performs fine. To give you an idea, the R value. Do you know the R value offhand, unique, of our ceilings, walls, and floors?
I think not directly off the top of my head. I know for like the walls, I believe we have like a double layer of like R17.
Yeah.
I believe just our roof, and we've recently changed that to again thicker, but that previously used to be R26, and that was just like an insulated panel on top of our roof. But we're trying to increase like our R values wherever we
Yeah.
can. We're even working with the Department of Energy too on a couple of like test assemblies where we can achieve even higher R values, and without, I guess, ever increasing our wall thicknesses, because at one point, like you just can't, have a thicker wall because it eats up, interior space as well.
Yeah, exactly. So like the insulation plays a big factor in the R value, but also just the airtight, watertight barrier as well. So I think I've seen it in some documents recently, like the floors are maybe like R24, the walls are closer to R40 or even R48, and then the
Yeah,
ceilings.
and we basically try to encapsulate the entire home in like a continuous layer of insulation. Like it
Right.
goes all around our modules as well, but also like into our crawl space and underneath the slab as well. Like I
Yeah.
think underneath the slab in our crawl space we have R20 off the top of my
Exactly.
head.
Exactly. So to answer your question, Aram, about the R value, like obviously it plays a part in it, but also because like the whole house is encased in like this airtight, watertight barrier, you get like a much more energy efficient home. So all of our homes are net zero ready as soon as they leave the factory. So that tells you how energy efficient they are. And then if you go with solar panels and a battery, then your homes are definitely net zero, even probably net positive. So to give you an idea, um, our homes are about 84% energy efficient, and 84% energy efficient more than the traditional home. And this is even if like a traditional home were to upgrade its building standards, we're still, about 5, 10, 15 years ahead of what most people are doing. There is an ERV included in every home. It's a major part of the mechanical room, what we call the vitality room. And really just talking about like the ERV is helping to circulate air, and you're going to find with our homes you don't actually have to run the air conditioning or the heat as much, because when you have a really airtight, watertight envelope and then you just circulate air through the home, it actually makes the home the right temperature it's supposed to be. Have you ever done an air changes per hour test in an assembled house? Yeah, we do. I think we do that. Is that we do the blower test? Is that what that is?
I believe so. Yeah, we do that standard pretty much on every building that we make.
Yeah, we do that on every
And I
um
believe the Shelter Glen home that where you recently had the open house, Kellen, was the one that performed best so far.
yeah, exactly. I think I could be wrong, but I can get this information for you, John. I think the passive house level is like 0.6 air changes per hour for a home to meet their passive level certifications, which is kind of like one of the higher the barriers. We're at 0.5. So we're actually just slightly better than what the passive home is going for. And it's always going to get better too. You're welcome. Any other questions? Anything about the building assembly or the metal framing or about the modules? I'll just reiterate and say one more thing too. Unique mentioned it earlier. So if you're ever looking at our floor plans and you're like, oh, I really don't like that the window's there, or I wish that they could just flip the floor plan and mirror it, we're able to flip floor plans and mirror them to make it accommodate to your land. So don't think that like you're completely stuck with what you see on our catalog page. We will be able to adjust it for you. We can sometimes make modules a little shorter or longer to accommodate you, and sometimes play around with the windows, but we can also always frost the windows for you so that you have some privacy as well. Can you build multiple stories with this method? Yeah, we're currently building 2 stories right now, John. The bulk of our homes have been single story, but the Shelter Glen open house that we just did in the Sonoma County in Santa Rosa, that was a 2-story home, and that's also on our catalog page. I'm just going to put the link here in the chat. So we have a handful of 2-story homes right now, and we're going to be adding a lot more as we update our design and as Unique's team works with the designers. But going beyond 2 stories into like 3 stories, 4 stories, maybe is what you're asking about, like a triplex or like multi-units. We'll probably eventually get there, but we really just want to get good at the basics first, and then we can go beyond that. Aram's asking, how does the framing perform with shear stresses? How many hours of fire resistance can one expect from the exterior walls? Do you want to take the first question? How does the framing perform with shear stresses? Unique?
Yeah, I mean, like we just have our structural engineer perform all the calcs, and so far, like we typically for our shear walls, we would use like 18 gauge steel, just with like a 1/2 inch layer of plywood on it, and so far we've never run into any issues with shear.
Yeah. Yeah, all of our homes are rated structurally to survive Category 5 hurricanes, earthquakes, any climate. So we ship homes to Utah and Colorado, where there's tons of snow and it's very cold, and we also have homes throughout California, where some areas are dry as a desert. So our homes are built the same way every time to be able to handle
Yeah,
any climate.
exactly. Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing.
Yeah, and your second part about how many hours of fire resistance, I don't know that off the top of my head, but I know because we use light gauge steel and the metal cladding that we have on the exterior of the home, I believe we can resist fires up to like 1200 or 1400 degrees Fahrenheit for a few hours. So significantly more than a traditional home. And if your fire resistance question, Aram, is alluding to like, building a home in a forest fire area, that's what we just did with Santa Rosa house and the Shelter Glen house. That was a fire rebuild. We rebuilt a home in a fire area. And the big part of creating a fire resistant home too is not having a ventilated crawl space, which we do not have. And we don't have an attic. So there's no ventilated attic. And when you remove the ventilated attic and crawl space, the likelihood of an ember getting in and starting a fire significantly drops off. So then you're just left with like the landscaping. And we typically design homes to have drought resistant vegetation around the house, and we design it typically with whoever your landscape designer is, to make sure that you're building your land in a way that's going to prevent a fire from getting too close.
Yeah, and to add to that as well, like we do ventilate our crawl space, but instead what we use is we use our RV
Right.
to provide ventilation into that crawl space. And I guess at the fresh air intake of that ERV vent towards the outside air, what we do is like we always make sure that we have like mesh in there to prevent embers from coming in. But even if it would still come in directly behind that that air vent, what we've put in, for example, is another sort of like damper system that will just like close up if we have a forest fire, you can close that up. Your air will still circulate inside and get filtered with the filters that are provided in our homes. So the air quality inside will stay like at a good level, and there's not a chance of like embers like getting into your house.
Yeah, exactly. We're building these homes to literally last 100 years. So we're thinking about fires, we're thinking about flooding, heavy snow, rain, moisture, all that. So, with like a metal structure, you immediately remove the possibility of mold and mildew and insects trying to get into that area and eat that material. It just doesn't grow on that stuff. So we'll be in a much better position. Just looking at a couple other questions here. Who can I contact to get more information and look at homes? So Martha, you can email me. The email comes to me and my colleague Ashley. We typically handle a lot of the client relations. You can email us at hello@dvele.com. So hello@dvele.com. And that'll get us in contact with you right away. And then if you want to come look at a home, you can go to the Sonoma County House on Shelter Glen Way. There's an open house this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, running for a few hours during the day, and that will actually put you in a finished home. It's super gorgeous, 9-foot ceilings. You're not going to believe how beautiful this is, considering it's a prefabricated modular home. And you can go see a home there, and then you can also come to our factory in Loma Linda, California, which is in Riverside, which is in between Palm Springs and LA. And if you email us, you can book a tour and we'll take you through the factory. All those pictures that Unique was just showing you, that's real. We'll be able to walk you through the factory and show you all that. And you'll see various stages of the home, the metal framing and completed modules at the end of the factory line. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. If there are no more questions, we're just going to drop off for now, keep it a little short. But if you do have any questions, if anything comes up, just email us hello@dvele.com, and myself or Ashley will answer you as fast as we can. So thank you again. Thank you, Unique. I really appreciate your time.
Awesome. No problem. Thank you so much.
Okay. Take care, everybody.